Hey everybody, how you guys doing today? Okay, so we are going to try to get the clay on the rest of the skull. Our skull friend. Now, I noticed, and if I can find, I thought I had my scissors sitting here. I'm going to trim up his little part right here. Just a little bit. It's a little low. I might just be able to do that with the clay. I want the legs to be a little bit longer, so I kind of want to pull them apart and then kind of smush that up. Okay, we still have the back of the head, which we will deal with once we're done. Now, like I told you guys before, I'm going to use all my like crappy clay. All my clay that I've made my canes from and that kind of thing. Oh, another thing I wanted to show you. I did a video on amazing cast in resin and amazing mold putty. And I was talking about this other kind of mold maker. Sculpey makes it. It's called Sculpey Mold Maker. Super elasticity. So this will be, I said by the Tim Holtz stuff. I don't know what I was thinking. Maybe there is stuff by the Tim Holtz stuff that I saw. But this stuff is from Sculpey. So you'll find this where you find your polymer clay in your Michaels or AC Moore or whatever. And you can, it does the same exact thing. You can make molds with whatever you want and then put your clay in it, and then you have the same thing that we did with the Bake and Bend polymer clay, the regular polymer clay, and the amazing mold putty. So I wanted to let you guys know about that. Now, like I said, I'm just going to use this big old bag of icky pieces. So I'm going to grab me a bunch, and I'm going to set it there. And I'm just going to start warming up my clay. And we're going to make him have a body. And I think the easiest ways, especially I know I have a lot of people doing this with me. So I think the best way to do this is going to be this way that I'm going to do it, rather than doing it more anatomically correct is the right word. So I'm just rolling out with whatever I have, and I'm just going to start putting clay on. So we're just going to stick clay around, and we're going to form his ribs and all that in a bit, all the pieces, but I just kind of want to get a baseline of him covered in clay. Then we'll go back and do all the details and all that kind of fun stuff to give him his little ribs, and you know. So I'm just picking up pieces here of little pieces of clay. And you mold, you know, with the clay. I should have put my pasta machine up. And I probably should have rolled all this out beforehand, but I like to show you guys, you know, I hate rolling everything out, and then, you know, when you guys go to do it, if you have questions, you know, I like to show you like I'm doing it. This is like real time, and this is how I do it, and I don't know. I guess I don't think much. I don't think too far ahead. I get excited. You know, because I'm doing it a little differently because I am doing it on a video. So I'm not going to obviously take as much time as I would doing as detailed work. I like showing you guys the basics, and then you guys go from there. So I'm just, you can see it's very thin, and I'm just going to, you know, if you need to pull it apart to do parts, that's what you do. And I will pull apart, and I will just stick this kind of around his neck, push it down, take it around the back. You want to kind of smooth it out, and we will smooth it out once we get it all full of the clay. Right now we're just placing on the pieces. Now what we're going to do when this is done is we're going to paint this once it's baked. Rather, we'll paint the body and the back of the head and everything white. And then we'll go on to do the decorating of, you know, what we want to do. Like here's his little leg piece. You might hear my dogs in the background because my husband just went to get my daughter from work. And the dogs come in here because they're out of his office now because he's not in there. And they just pace and wait for him to come back, especially his dogs. And again, you just want to get the clay on. Maybe I'll move this a little bit closer so you can see a little bit better. And I'm very excited. My husband and my daughter bought me, my birthday is December 29th, 4 days after Christmas. And they bought me a new camera that I can take pictures with, and also it's an HD, which this is HD too, but I never record in HD. It drives my daughter nuts. And so they bought me, just to keep taking your pieces and just keep wrapping it around. So they bought me a camera, and I can record in HD. And my husband bought me a good, big memory card with it, so I can do my videos and I can record anywhere, which I'm very excited about, that my daughter and him did that. So I got the software put on today, and no idea how it works yet or anything like that. My daughter was videotaping my husband. They were being goofy and taping him outside so we can see. It has like this really, really like fantastic zoom. Like my husband, we have almost an acre of land, and he was clean across the yard, and she was standing on the patio, and she zoomed in, and it was clear as can be. And she got him, so, I mean, it has like these great things on this camera. So I'm so excited. So I'm going to go through the software later and look at all the software so I can video my, my stuff and get better quality and HD, even though I can do this in HD, but it just takes forever. I don't know what it'll be like, but I love taking pictures. We go out and take pictures and all kinds of stuff. So I'm just very excited. And they surprised me because I wasn't expecting it. And it came in the mail, and my husband wanted to save it. My daughter's like, no, let's give it to her now. So I was very happy. And again, we're just putting on. We're going to give him feet too, so. But like I said, right now I just kind of want to cover everything. And then we'll go back and shape everything and put on the final touches. And arrange him how we want him to stand. Oh. Let's see. Sorry about that. Husband went and picked up my daughter at work. Okay. And then we're going to grab some more pieces. This is why it's great to keep all your extra pieces. Of like, the clay that you play with, clay that you have left over extra. Because when you're doing this, you can now build a body, and it can be of anything. And paint over it. And your clay is not going to waste. You get a nice piece. Again, I just put, and if you have a pasta machine, it might be, you know, good for you to use a pasta machine. I don't know why I haven't set mine up yet down here. I mean, up here, since I've moved rooms. You would think I would have. So. Oh my God, my husband's driving me nuts. Text me back and forth. You sure? Anything? So if you guys are doing this, I would love to see it, even if you just make the head. That would be great. Sneeze. Rolled a little bit more. I've seen a lot of places already getting snow, starting to get snow. It's been really rainy and windy and cold here, but no snow. But in New Jersey, we barely ever get snow. All right, so this piece is going to kind of be shape of a because it's kind of going to go on here above. Kind of flatten it, stick it between his legs like a diaper, smush it all together, connect it to the legs. Again, we're going to flatten everything out, play with everything once we get, that'll probably be the next video since this is going to take longer than I anticipated. We want this part to be thinner. For me, it's easier just to get like all the clay on, like I said, and then go from there. And then form it. Then you can adjust your legs and, you know, roll the legs, make them more, you know, thinner, put the feet on. He's not going to look this fat. It looks funky now because he's not like white. Looks like his diaper's on backwards. But we're going to get it, I swear. Here is where, and I'm going to mark it so you guys are aware. Like down here is where he's going to have, like where we're going to do like the ribs. Like he's going to have a V here and then his ribs are going to come out like here. And we'll mark that later with our tool. But then just turn them over. Kind of blend the pieces together. I love making clay dolls. I got to pull all of mine out because I really do love making them. Oh my gosh, my dogs. My cats. Who knows what it is? It's like they're little kids. They know like when we leave or when one of us leaves or even when I'm taping. It's like, you know, when you go to tape or you go to take a shower or do whatever and the kids know like it's time to, you know what I mean? Or the phone rings. That's what my animals are like. Daddy left, so we're going to go crazy. Again, just keep rolling. Like I said, if you have a pasta machine, all the better. If not, just roll it out. You just want your pieces. You don't want them like thin like paper, but you want them fairly thin. But you want them thick enough because you want it to, you know, you want your piece when you cook it to stand up. If we're going to have it stand up, I haven't quite decided exactly what I'm doing yet. Who knows? You just pull a piece off, and I see I need it here. Almost looks like a bacon strip. It's coming together, very excited. And then you can just pull. See how I pull very, very gently, just as I move down. And then sometimes it pulls off. And we're going to wrap around the arm, and you can wrap it the same way you wrap the tape if you want, depending on how your hands are working that day, because we're just going to kind of go in and give it a squeeze. We just want it to cover the tape. We're going to smooth it all out, no problem. Oh my gosh, my husband. Driving me insane. Which I have to be I'm very blessed. At least he doesn't. I did tell him to let me know what he was doing, so I didn't worry, because I do worry if he's like 2 minutes past what I have timed in my head of how long he should be. So I am very thankful. However, sometimes, you know how they can be. But if he didn't text me, then I would yell at him. So I guess I can't. What else can I say? That's just me being. I thought, oh, okay, he's gone. I know the dogs could bark when he's gone, but I'll just record real quick before my daughter gets home. Because I like being able to sit and talk to her about her day and everything. And I want to get this thing going. I love how funky it looks with all the different colors. Funkalicious. Like I said, these are all just pieces. Do y'all have bags? I know every time I show a clay demo that I always tell you guys I use it out of my clay bag of extra pieces, and I hate throwing even the littlest piece away. Even like pieces like this, I keep. Also, lucky you guys with my new camera, once I get it up and working and running, you guys will actually be able to see things, because I'm colorblind. So when I adjust these colors on my webcam here on my computer, and my daughter yells at me all the time, the colors aren't always very accurate, because she fixes it for me, and then I get on there, I'm like, I can't see what color is that, or I need this brighter or whatever, and I drive her crazy, because then when she watches my video, she's like, oh my gosh. So that'll help too. Because isn't it funny? An artist who's color, and I'm sure I'm not the only one in the world, but an artist that's colorblind. That could explain a lot. Put the piece here. Now, you can see I'm like overlapping and everything like that, and pieces are a lot thicker, and we're going to thin them out. We can also take some of the clay off, but we want to get it all on here, so then we can go from there to then decide where we're going to chop some off, because we just take our X-Acto knife or whatever knife you use, clay knife, and just chop it off. It's all fun. It just keeps pushing it. We're almost done. Putting it all on. Let's see if I can find a flatter piece to maybe work with here. And yes, I'm using some of my canes. Now I'm finally up where all my clay is, so I can start doing better demos and more involved things and things to teach you a little bit better with my regular clay instead of all my icky little pieces. He looks like he went on an acid trip and never recovered. A little clay over here. I will show you up close because I know it's hard to see with my big hands in the way. See here where I need some tape. This is when you just start going over where you see that you missed. Let's see, I missed down here a little bit. You start pulling little pieces off, and polymer clay is great that way. Oh, I rhymed and I didn't even try. Need some down here on this little foot before we build his foot. You can work on parchment paper, wax paper. This is one of those non-stick craft mats, which you can also buy at Bed Bath & Beyond and Walmart and everywhere else. You can work on a thick piece of plexiglass or clay or glass, depending on, what you have. The tables, glass table is great if you just have a glass table or whatever. Mine happens to be wood. I don't even know. Probably wouldn't even bother anything. We want to make sure up in here that we really smooth this neck to this head. So I'm really going to soften this little piece up here and flatten it and kind of mush it up into that. And that's a clay technical term if you didn't know. Mush it up in that. Let's just mush it. Because I'm going to try to stabilize the head the best I can. And once it bakes, it will. So, let's see. So now we have all of our tape in the base of his body. Let me move it back just a bit. Okay, so we have it covered. Now, you could see like on the end his little thing sticking out. So now I have to do hands and feet before I'm even going to fix any of this. So I'm going to take a piece of clay. I want a floppy piece. Doesn't look like there's many floppy pieces in. I might have to work with my hands, make them floppy. Let me just warm this up for a second. And then we're going to put on like mitten type looking things on his hands, and then we'll do like these like feet on him. and that'll be for this video. And then the next video I do will be us coming back and thinning him out, forming him better, making a few adjustments here and there with the clay, and then he will get baked. Well, then we'll mark him up, you know, with before he goes in, of all like the pieces, like where his ribs go and his little, you know, all that kind of thing. And we will then bake him and paint him white or gesso him. And then go from there. So his hand is going to be, see, I got to decide how I want his hands, because now is when you want to form. I guess we'll just kind of make his hand. And you're kind of making a mitten right now. Should have made it a little thicker. How thick that side is. And you're just making it rounder, kind of on the top, for it to go around. And we'll form its little hands, its little fingers and all after. We're just kind of getting it on. Let's get it on. Just kind of want it to look like a hand. Like I said, this needs another piece under here. I'm not worried about the thickness right now. We're just getting it on. Getting it on, getting it on. And we'll take two pieces from this. We're going to spread it out a bit. Give it a bend. Might need a little bit more than this. Maybe we'll use this piece first. Straighten it out. So it kind of has a round kind of look to it. Little ankle action there. Make it kind of go up. And we're going to kind of stick it. Well, first we'll stick it in the back. And then we're going to take another piece, flatten it out, and go over the front. And this is just how we're starting it. This is it's not how it's going to look. And you'll see. We'll do the same thing for the other side. And you'll see when we stand them up. Put our other piece on to kind of smash it together with the back towards the front. And then take this in half and let's flatten this out. And we're going to put it on here to make the feet thicker. You can even roll over if you have extra, because we want this to be thick when he stands. Let's smush it together. And once it bakes, it will. And we're going to form all this a lot better and smooth it out, not worrying about it. A little bit more on this. This is the fun thing for me, because when you're doing this, you don't have to, you don't have to so much be perfect. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're just doing our first set of all the clay on it. Nothing's perfect. We're gonna need to do other things. Again, fold it over, flatten it out just to give it, because we're gonna cut him some toes. You could pull off extra clay if you have it. Give it a little shape, you know, so it's kind of stuck together. But like all this is going to get smoothed out and thinned, and you could see where I've rolled it, and that's all okay because we're going to fix all that. But as of right now, we just want everything covered. So I'm going to give it a quick look. I know I want this neck smaller and a little bit more, but it's going to have to adhere to that head, so I'm going to have to push that head down a bit. So when it goes into bake, we have our hands. If you have any cracks, smear them with your fingers, or add a little bit more clay. And turn it over so you can see what you're dealing with back here. Back here you can see I have a big heel, which is good. It's good to have a heel, big heel. Just give it a little squeeze and flatten it out. Do the same thing over here if you need a little bit more clay, because this doesn't have the big heel. Make a heel. It's just going to give it more stability. Hands look good. Just got to smooth them out. And as of right now, I'm going to push his little feet down. His feet are a tad bit bigger than I will probably keep them, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. Remember, this is all unbaked soft clay. And try to get them on camera. And so far, we have his body. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to decide, before we smooth, we're going to decide how are we going to have him. Are we going to have him standing up? I have a heart-shaped wooden piece that once I bake him, I can glue him to. And I'm going to make sure I get his head in the right position that it doesn't hang over. And do I want him to stand? Do I want him to sit? He's sticking to my thing. If I make him sit, I would bake him so he sat. So I have to think now how I want, and you do the same on how you want your skeleton to be. You can get a piece of foam core if you want and cut out a shape and paint it black or whatever you want and use that. It's so funny, he looks tie-dyed. But what I'm going to tell you now very quickly that you might want to do before the next video, you don't have to, is how I do I'll do this hand first. Let me really zoom into the hand here. All right, this is the hand. What I do is, now I would shape it a little bit better, you know, a little bit smaller, but you want them to have like finger looking things. So since this is this hand, the thumb would be, if he was holding it out like this, his thumb would be on this side. So I would cut his thumb, and you can use your X-Acto knife. I would cut a finger, another finger. So that's 1, 2, 3, and then split these two. Okay, so you see where we're at? And then you go in with your fingers and you start shaping them. And it takes a minute or so because it is a small area to get into, and I have fat RA fingers that don't like to do everything that I want them to do. But that is how you would do the fingers. And you would take the time to go in and make them smaller. If you want to cut some of the clay off, you can. You don't have to, keep them this much clay on here if it's too much clay for you to work with your fingers. It's not a big deal. Or use your clay tool or whatever. So then you would have a hand. And you would want these much thinner. So you would just work with them. Like these look like little clown hands. So I would just keep going in and working and working and working. And you want them to be long and bony looking. So when we paint them, when we paint him white or whatever we choose to do, we can put the lines in for all the different like joints, of the bones. So you just keep going in until you're happy with his fingers. And it takes longer than obviously I can do here. And you can lay it down and take whatever tool you're using, a popsicle stick, your plastic clay tool, whatever. If you're doing this with air dry clay, it's the same way. If you have white or off-white or whatever, like plain clay, like you're not using yucky extra clay like I have, good for you. You'll be able to skip the next step of once we form it, of painting and because we're going to have to obviously gesso and paint, which I enjoy. So I love watching things come together. But do you see how we're getting the hand? So if that was painted all white and we put black, as the joints, or put in the grooves and then did the black paint like we did on his head, it's going to look really awesome. So that is one hand done. Then for his feet, get him to stand up straight so he's even. You might have to put another like chunk of clay I think I have to put under this one part. So let me just massage this for a second. Just so I can make him pretty much even. Steven. Okay. So what we would do is this the foot sticking out? Yeah. I want to make sure you guys can see. And you would do the same thing. You would go in and cut his toes. Cut his toes open. 1, 2. X-Acto knife, like I said, a plastic butter knife. I've used butter knives. God knows what you'd find in here that I've used. 3, you want to be creepy? Only give him 4 toes. Maybe 1 fell off. Who knows? We don't know what his story is yet. Now I know you might be looking at this and thinking, what the hell is this child doing? This looks nothing like what... But I'm telling you, it will at the end. It's just hard to imagine because of the... My God, he has my husband's toes. It's hard to imagine because of the colors. Now, see, I just ripped that toe off. Guess what? I don't care. I'm just going to roll this little thing right here. I'm going to stick his toe on. And roll it back on. And we're going to do the same thing we did with the fingers. And you're just going to go in and form them. Roll them a little bit. And like I said, it does. It takes a few minutes. And it's a little bit, getting in them little spaces. But it's really not that hard. And it's fun. It's fun to watch it come together. And you can turn them upside down to get underneath his feet. Like, he has crazy little feet. He has crazy. Maybe he's an old soul. If we dug him up. But if I lift him up, and you can see underneath, so I can go underneath now and kind of, you know, straighten them up, make them a little bit thinner. But this is what it looks like so far. And like I said, you just take your hands underneath and you just straighten all those little, oh, if I was on camera, you could see it. You straighten all those little, you know, jaggedies and all that kind of stuff and smooth it out. And you do that with the other foot, and you do that with the other hand. And the next video, we are going to, let's see if I can fix this neck right now. I'm going to roll this out thin. If you have an issue with the neck like I do, if you can see, I could see some of that green still in it. I don't like it, so I'm going to kind of like roll this around and then blend it with that piece. And just mix it around. And then I'll just blend that all together. And push his head down when I go to bake it, and then we should be good there. So I have to use my tool. Or like I said, the tools that come with your clay, or, you know, the plastic tools that come with your clay, whatever you have. Popsicle stick, anything works to smooth. You know, and you want to get the neck as thin as you can, obviously, because, you know, he only has like a thin kind of neck there. And you just keep working at it. So that's something else you can do in the meantime. And you'll just get it thinner and thinner and thinner. That's the great thing with clay. You just keep reducing, keep reducing, keep reducing. And it is hard to tell when you're using all these clay, these different color clays, what exactly it really looks like, because all you're seeing are all these patterns. You know, these different colors. I mean, he does have a small neck if you look. You know, and I'll get that down a little bit more. So that's what I'm got going on right now. That's kind of where we're at. So we got them all covered in clay. Used a lot of extra clay. Now, next video, we'll go through and we're going to smooth all this up and everything and get them all ready to be baked. And then once he's baked, we will then start with the painting and all the fun stuff. Even though this is fun to me too, but like all these little, like I said, playing with his toes and stuff like that. It's all fun because, you know, it turns out at the end, you know, and be detailed if you want. Make them have toenails. You know, like the toenail little spot. We're going to put all those little things in. You know, who knows? This could have been Bigfoot's body skeleton. We don't know. Andre the Giant. Who knows? You know, and like I said, roll it, you know, a little bit with your hands, squeeze it in. It doesn't matter if they get too long. You can always cut them to make them. And see the feet? See how they're already coming together? Now imagine if these were all white. It would look completely different. So keep that in mind. I can't tell you that enough because I know when I first started doing this myself, and I would use the pieces of clay that I had extra, like I'm doing now, it's hard to see. It's hard to like look at something and say, oh yeah, that's definitely going to be. You know what I mean? Like it does. It takes, once it's baked, and then you paint it, then you're like, you know, you gesso it, and you're like, okay, now I'm seeing. And then all the fun begins like we did on the face. So the next video will be coming up, and we will have the, you know, kind of fixing this a little bit, smoothing everything out, putting in his ribs and all that fun stuff, and getting ready to bake with all the creaks and crevices and all that fun stuff. And we're getting there. We're getting there. And then we'll decide whether we want him to sit or whether we want him to stand, which I'll bring over my stand that I'm talking about. It's one of those little wooden hearts you buy at the craft store. It's maybe like this big. And I might paint it black and then put like spiders or something around it and have them stand on it. So I haven't quite decided yet. Yeah, so that's where we're at. So hope you guys are doing it with me. And also, Google is changing everything with YouTube. I don't get many comments. And if you have questions, it's making you go through. I don't know what the heck it's doing. Half the stuff isn't showing up. Keep leaving comments, please. And I'll get them one way or another once they get this sorted. And so if I'm not answering your questions or anything that you asked, I'm sorry, but they're like in this transition of doing something. If you came across me on the internet and are not subbed to my channel, please sub. I have contests all the time. We're going to be having a contest coming up soon. Another one. And we are going to be starting, not tomorrow, but the next day, maybe Sunday. I have a video up. A video I'm putting up to start our mixed media painting, and I did the first layer, which of course is paint. So it's a short video, but it's how to do the first layer, and then we're going to go on from there and do a mixed media painting from start to finish. So I'm just using a piece of watercolor paper, so you guys can use that or canvas or whatever you have. So I hope you guys are joining in with me here. I hope you are enjoying this. And I will see you guys again tomorrow. And remember to always be kind to each other, because you never know what battle somebody else is fighting. And I hope you all have a great weekend. Bye, guys.